Welcome to Internet Quality Academy. The channel is for the civil engineer, quality control engineer, and the site engineer who are working in the construction projects. In this channel, we are dealing with the construction process, quality control process, and construction material. Today, I want to discuss about the very essential topics about the quality control and quality assurance, that is material approval request. So what is material approval request, how to raise material approval request, and when we get the approval from the concerned authority, what to do next. In details, we will discuss about everything about material approval request because it is very much important for the product conformity, because if the raw material is not as per the requirement, we cannot achieve the product conformity. So stay tuned until the end to get the full information about material approval request. And if you are new in my channel, kindly subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon so that whenever I upload a new video, you will get immediate notification. So without wasting any time, let's jump into the subject, material approval request. And now, what is material approval request? Suppose you want to use steel. The steel is maybe 4 and 5 grade, 550 grade, whatever it is may be. But before using that one, we need to take the approval from the concerned authority, maybe from the consultant or from the client. So how to take the approval and what is to be incorporated in the material approval request, that I will discuss each and everything. The first thing is general information, what you need to intended to mention in your material approval request. That is a project name, what is the project, and then client, PMC, and contractor name. First will be the client name, then the PMC or the consultant name, and then the contractor's name. Then material name and type, what material of we want to use and what are the purpose of this MAR or the material approval request, for what material we want to taking approval. Suppose you want to taking approval of AAC block. So that AAC block name you should be mentioned, and what is the size. And what is the size, that also you need to mention. Then supplier and vendor details. That is very much essential, from where we are taking this material. That is the source that need to be finalized or that need to be ensured in the material approval request, because every project has the approved vendor list or the approved supplier list. So we want to take from the approved vendor list itself. Without the approved vendor list, the client or consultant will not get the approval. So we need to mention who is the supplier and who is the vendor. Then request a name and contact information. Who is requesting? It's not the company is requesting, but who is the authority? Maybe QAQC manager, maybe the project manager or the project head. As per the protocol, we need to mention that the requested name and the contact information. Then approval request number with revision. It is a quality control procedure. The document should be properly named along with the revision mark. If it is not, it is very much difficult to find out the proper document whenever it is required, or the superseded document can be used at the site, which is a product non-conformity. So approval request number, and if there is any revision, that also we need to mention in the approval request. That is the general information we need to mention where in the MAR or the material approval request. The next point is material details. What's that? Material specification and standard. What is the material specification? Suppose you want to use the cover block. What is the size of the cover block? What is the compressive strength of the cover block? And from what it is coming? What is the quantity required? It is also mentioned how much quantity we need. Because why it is mentioning that according to the quantity, we need to finalize our inspection and the testing plan. How much test is required? What is the frequency? That also we need to finalize. That and that quantity is required. That is also mentioned. Then size, dimension, and grade, what dimension, what size, relevant specification clause. Everything is there in the specification. So whenever we are raising an material approval request, we need to mention which relevant specification clause is dealing with this. Suppose again we are dealing with the reinforcement bar. So what will be the relevant clause of the specification? Maybe the clause number 24. So we need to mention the clause number 24. So why? Because the client or the consultant will check only that relevant code. Otherwise, they will find out which one is that, because they have so many works, but your intention to get approval from them. So if you give them the relevant clause, they only will check that relevant clause, and if it is according to the clause, they will give the approval. So that is also you need to mention. Then relevant BOQ line item, a line of item. Why? Because ultimately it will be paid as per the BOQ, and if the material or specification and the BOQ is not matching, that also we need to check whenever we are raising material approval request. If it is not matching, we need to take an approval from the consultant that which one has to follow, either the BOQ or the specification, and accordingly we need to submit the MAR or the material approval request with the relevant BOQ line of item, so that client or consultant can also check. And then compliance statement. What is compliance statement? Compliance statement is that what is the criteria for selecting a material, what are the properties. Suppose with a reinforcement bar, that is what is the yield stress, what is the tensile stress, what is the bend test or rebend test, and what is the chemical properties. That is also mentioned all in the specification or in the relevant codes. So in the compliance state, what I have treatment to maintain, that is the criteria as per the specification or as per the relevant code, and what is our proposal. If it is matching, that means we are compliant. That compliance statement also need to be submitted along with the material approval request. This is the ultimate thing, that this compliance statement will check by the client and consultant, and they will verify whatever the requirement they have, and that is matching or not. So these material details also we need to be there in the material approval request. The third point is purpose and intended use. Description of how the material will be used and any specific project requirement or the consideration, which means the which area of this material will be used. Right? In all entire project, we cannot use. It may be, suppose we want to DPC. DPC is not everywhere using. Maybe in the ground floor. So we need to mention that ground floor below the block work, we need to use that one. So specifically, whenever we are preparing a material approval request, we need to finalize the purpose and intended use. What is the area of use? What is the purpose? That we need to mention in the material approval request. The next is quality document. What is the quality document? Test certificate and reports. What is the test certificate and report of that material is available with the supplier or the manufacturer, that should be attached with the material approval request, and that is not should be the requirement, maybe not 6 months old, or sometimes it is 3 months old. As per the project requirement, it should be within that time period. If it is a more than 2 years, it may not be accepted by the client. So there is a provision that the test report should be within the previous 6 months. So 6-month test report we need to finalize. Then conformity of the relevant standard. What are the standard they are following whenever they are manufacturing that product conformity report, that has to be mentioned. Then inspection report and record, how they are inspecting, how the authority is inspecting for their material when they are preparing or the manufacturing the material. That also you need to finalize, or you need to substantiate with the documents as a quality document whenever we are attaching with the material approval request. Next is manufacturer and supplier information, accredited and certification. What is mean? Whether the trade license is there or not, and the trade license is active or not. It should not be expired, which means that the whatever we are purchasing material, that is from the legalized authority. From the illegal authority, we cannot purchase the material. So the accreditation and certification also to be attached with the material approval request. And sometimes ISO certificates or some environment clearance certificate also need to be attached as per the project requirement. And the previous performance history, how this material or how this supplier perform in the previous previous projects. So the previous project approval or previous project work completion report also need to be attached. And the compliance with the regulatory requirements, every material has to be compliance with the regulatory requirements. So the regulatory approval letter also to be attached with the manufacturer supplier information along with the material approval request. And also sometimes it's required the certificate of origin. What is certificate of origin? That means if it is coming from outside the countries, from which country it is coming, that certificate of origin, that means you need to substantiate that this product is coming from that country. That certificate of origin also need to be attached along with the material approval request. The next is testing and inspection plan. proposed testing procedure, frequency of inspection, and acceptance criteria. That is also to be mentioned that we will follow this testing plan whenever this material is coming at the site. That's why we need to finalize the quantity of the material. And according to the quantity of the material, we can propose the testing procedure, frequency of inspection, and the acceptance criteria. That will give the client and consultant that confidence that whenever this material will come at the site, there will be inspection and the testing so that our material will meet our guidelines or our project specification so that the product conformity will be happen. So this testing and inspection plan also to be attached with the MAR. And safety and the environment clearance, material safety data sheet. That is very much important whenever we are raising any material approval request, that MSDS should be attached with this. What is MSDS? That is, it is a regulatory or environment clearance, how to handle the material, how to store the material, and if anything happen when during the uses of the material, what is the safety precaution, what is the first aid precaution, that all everything is mentioned in the material safety data sheet. Why it is important? It is important because we want to know the storage condition, handling condition, operation condition, and if it is any emergency, what to do. So this is a very much crucial documents for the material approval request, that MS data sheet or material safety data sheet. Then environmental impact assessment, whether this has the environment impact or not. Suppose we are using the tile glue, it has a volatile organic compound, it is not that much suitable for the human life or human inhabitants. So what is the percentage is VOC is there, that is also to be mentioned, and that environmental impact is not there, that is also to be clearance will be there. And then compliance with health and safety regulation, whatever the safety and health regulation on that project areas, that also we need to attach that the safety regulation approval is there. So this safety and environmental consideration also to be taken care or to be attached whenever we are raising MAR. Then it is handling and storage recommendation, as I discussed earlier also. Then what is the guideline of safe handling, storage requirement, and shared shelf life and expiry date? Because why it is that shelf life expiry date, that is we are using in the FIFO, that fast in fast out procedure in the storage. So accordingly we can also storage that whatever the material is coming first, that will going out, and what is the material coming later, that will going later, so that the product will not have meeting the expiry date, so that there will be no wastage. So what is the handling and storage condition, that is also to be mentioned in the material approval request. Next is approval and authorizations. Name and signature of approving authorities, date of approval, and any condition restriction. Now we have submitted everything. Now they have given the approval. Either they can give the approval, that is status A, that is there is no comments, we can use the material, or status B, that is approved with comment. That means whatever the comment is there, we can use if it is rectified or it is complied. That means it's not that we can easily, or you can straight out use that one. If it is comment B, that means approve with comment, we need to comply that comment, and after that we can use that one. And if it is C, that means rejected or resubmit, or sometimes straight away rejected as the D. If it is C, that means rejected and resubmit. So we can resubmit the same material, but if it is rejected straight away, we cannot submit the same material. So these are the approval and authorization. Then documentation review. Review all provided documents for completeness and verification of compliance with the project specification. Now we need to check all the things, and accordingly we need to give the approval. Next is alternative materials or substitute. Why it is? Because there is two things. If the consultant client giving the straight away rejection, we need to propose the alternate material. Now if consultant giving the approval and we starting the work, but somehow that manufacturer or the not producing that material, or somehow this material is not available, but what will happen? We cannot stop the project on that time. So we need to start the project, we need to finish the project, and so that the activity should be continued. In that message, we need to propose a alternate material, so that any proposed alternative or justification is there, and compatibility with the existing material. So we can propose the alternate material, but we need to finalize that this material is compatible with the old material or the material wherever we are using. That also we need to propose whenever we are proposing our material approval request. So this is alternative material and substitution. Then The part is coming communication and notification to relevant stakeholders upon approval. So now if we get the approval, how it will be communicated to project manager, to the purchase department, to the store, to the project engineer, to the quality engineer, everyone, and also the manufacturer, so that they also know that their material is approved with this condition, if any. So according to that condition, they can prepare their manufacturing process. So whenever this material is coming to our side, that will meeting the project deadlines and along with the whatever the recommendation provided by the client or the consultant. So these things to be communicated properly to each and everyone involved in the process. And the last not least, that is a feedback and continuous improvement. So whatever the feedback we are getting, that we need to establish a feedback mechanism, and according to the feedback mechanism we need to act, and we need to a continuous improvement culture, so that we are not stuck in a position. So every time whatever we are doing the material approval request or anything else, there will be a possibility of continuous improvement that will help to boost the redefine the process or refine the process, which will ultimately give the more product conformity and meeting the or exceed the project requirement. So these are the things about the material approval request, and I hope you enjoy this one. And if you find this one useful, kindly subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon, so that whenever I upload a new video, you will get immediate notifications. And I'm waiting for your valuable feedback, so that from your valuable feedback, everyone will be benefited. And if you want to know anything more about quality control and the construction, please let me know. I will come with more content like this. And thanks once again for watching me.